Good morning. You're listening to KPFT, 90.1 FM Houston, 89.5 FM Galveston. This is Earth 101. My name is John Rose. I'm a wellness consultant, and I'm filling in for Atashi for the next 2 weeks while she's recharging her batteries. And while she's gone, we'll be talking about how to get and stay healthy. Today we'll focus on women's health issues, and next Tuesday I'll be back and we'll focus on men's health issues. I'm really anxious to get started, so let's open the phone lines. Our number is 713-526-5738. That's 713-JAM-KPFT. JAM-KPFT. I want to hear from everyone who has any questions about women's health issues, and while we're waiting for people to call in, I'd like to tell you all just a little bit about myself and how I got started on this journey. A little over 16 years ago, I was writing a book on weight loss, and 2 years into my research, I stumbled upon a whole library of knowledge that they don't even teach nutritionists and dietitians. In all honesty, some of what I read sounded too good to be true, so I thought to myself, what if it is true? Wouldn't I be a first-class fool to walk away from knowledge that claims to be so profound? As it turns out, it is true. And as a result of my research, I've discovered another component of weight. I discovered that all of us have something inside of us that does not belong inside of us. And the more of this substance we get rid of, the younger we will look and feel, while most, if not all, of our illnesses and ill behaviors disappear. Now, I know that sounds too good to be true. That's exactly what I thought. I know that sounds hard to believe, but I also know that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So go to www.ultimateweightloss.com to take a picture of what I'm looking at, or what I'm talking about. The picture on this website is a picture of uneliminated waste matter, which is the residue from unnatural foods. And I had 20 pounds of this disgusting and nauseating substance on me at a point in life when I only had 5.8% body fat, or 9 pounds of fat on my body. But yet I had 20 pounds of disease just waiting to happen. And I know from both personal and professional experience that the more of this substance we get rid of, the younger we will look and feel, while most, if not all, of our illnesses and ill behaviors disappear. I've coached thousands of people. I've seen miracles. I've seen so-called incurable diseases disappear. Now, some of y'all may recognize me and my story from my days on the Public Access Channel. I've written, produced, and hosted 8 cable TV shows. Some of y'all may recognize me from my days on the Deborah Duncan Show. I've been on her show a half a dozen times or so. Some of y'all may recognize me back when I coached Rudy Tomjanovich back to health in 2003, when Rudy T came down with bladder cancer. And for those of y'all who do recognize me and have heard me talk, y'all know that I have a passion in life to stop the needless suffering on this planet. So if you're suffering in any way, or you know of anyone else has any type of health challenge and is suffering, call 713-526-5738, and let's put an end to the needless suffering. In the meantime, here's something to think about. 12 years ago, back in 1993, the New England Journal of Medicine stated that 70% of our diseases are lifestyle-related and therefore avoidable and reversible. Now, I know for a fact that the 70% number that they give is too low. That number should be more like 100% of our diseases are lifestyle-related. And I know that because even birth defects and genetics are the results of the accumulated lifestyle factors from our parents and our ancestors. So this is going to be a very exciting show today. And my goal is to coach as many people as I can on the air to help Houston wake up to the fact that health care is self-care. We need to take responsibility and stop giving our responsibility to other people and let them treat our symptoms. We're putting the cart before the horse. Let's not start at step 2, the effect. Let's start at step 1, the cause. Because everything has a cause and everything has an effect. And we got to stop starting at step 2. We got to realize that we have to change what we're doing. We have to become empowered with knowledge, and that is why I'm here today. Now, I've noticed that the phone lines are already lit up. I want to remind everyone to get in line early. The number is 713-526-5738. I'm going to take my first caller. And the first caller today, we have Barbara.
Hi, John.
Good morning, Barbara. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
My day's starting out great.
Oh.
What would you like to share today?
I'd like to share that your plan does work. I'm going into my 9th day, and I have so much energy until I feel great. And I went in for my checkup on Friday. The doctor took me off 2 pills.
Wow.
And I lost 8 pounds in 5 days.
In the first 5 days, you lost 8 pounds.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? And when we talked last night, you were telling me your skin is really starting to show a difference. Usually at this stage, when you do the most aggressive of all my programs around day 9 or so, the skin goes through a transformation that's amazing. When I went on my long cleanse, I had scars disappear, stretch marks on my hips disappear. If y'all remember me back when I was on Deborah Duncan, I had a woman on there that did my program for 2 months, and she lost all of her varicose veins. Another woman lost the bunions on her feet. And you were having troubles with your blood sugar, weren't you?
Yes, and I don't have to take that pill in the evening. It's Glucophage. I don't have to take it.
So
in the evening, I was worried about it being too high. Now I have to worry about it because it's too low. So I'm not taking that pill in the evening anymore.
Wow, that is so exciting. You know, I coach a lot of people with diabetes, and yet doctors claim this is an incurable disease and you'll be on these pills for the rest of your life. And that's just not true. You know, we're creating our own illnesses. That means we have the power to change what we're doing, just like Barbara's doing. She's a good testament of the people I work with. I could spend the next 2 hours just talking about all the people I've worked with and the miracles that they've gone through. Anything else you'd like to share while we got you on the radio?
I just want to say thank you so much for helping me, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you kindly, Barbara. I really appreciate you calling. I notice all of the lines are filled up, so we're going to go to the next caller.
Okay, I'll be waiting to hear from you.
We'll talk to you later on today, Barbara.
Bye.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Line 2, we have Ray on the air. Good morning, Ray. How you doing? Did I get this working? Line 2? Is it? Okay, that's not working. Let's go to line 3. Oh, my gosh. Line 3. Barbara, you on the air? God, am I losing everybody? Byron, help me in here, buddy. How about line 4? Do I dare push it? Am I going to lose this person, too?
Hello.
Okay, who do I got?
Hi, this is Kim.
Okay, Kim, good morning. Let me write down your name here. How's your day starting out, Kim?
It's starting out perfect. Praise God. I've quit that stressful 8-hour-a-day job.
Oh, smart move. Smart move.
Started focusing on what's really, really important, you know?
You bet.
And I didn't catch your name, but is it Joe?
John.
John, I'm
John
sorry,
Rose.
John. Hi,
just
John.
like that. Good morning.
Hey, I was calling because I've been, making some life changes,
Yes.
And one revolves around being addicted to cigarettes.
Oh, yes.
And I've been doing a lot of reading, not the mainstream stuff, but really kind of, getting into it and understanding dopamine and, how what it helps you do. Do you have any suggestions on kicking it, from a psychological standpoint?
Yes, I do. In fact, I've put together 9 programs based on all the research I've done, and the most aggressive program that I have is the one I'd say 90% of my students go on, and it's called a juice fast. And perhaps that's a misnomer. It might be best described as a juice diet.
Yes.
There's something extremely profound about fasting in general, even though this is not a traditional water fast. But when we do go on a fast and we deprive ourselves from all those things that we've been doing to stimulate ourselves, it allows us to control those things that control us. So if you're trying to break any kind of bad habit, whatever it is, the best way to take control of your life is to go into a juice fast, drink a gallon or so more of juices every day, make sure you give your body everything it needs, and that will do wonders right there. Now, there's another technique called emotional freedom technique that I don't have near enough time to go into today. But if you'd like to call me, my phone number is 713-789-2223, and I'll tell you all about this. I've created a really extensive file on this. I'll be glad to shoot it out to you.
That would be great if you wouldn't mind repeating that phone number.
Not at all. That number is 713-789-2223. And just remind me, leave a message on my machine, leave me your phone number. And we'll talk about what's called emotional freedom technique. It's a great way to deal with addictions because most people, when they break one addiction, they just replace it with another.
Right. And that's what I want to avoid.
Exactly. What you have to do is get to the root cause of all addictions, and that's anxiety. Again, that's one reason why the juice fast works for so many reasons, because it gets rid of toxins in our body that irritate us and makes us so anxious and irritable.
Brief obviously from being a Muslim standpoint, we fast during Ramadan.
Exactly.
And staying away from those cigarettes, it is possible to do it until
sure
the sun sets.
Sure it is.
But after you have that freedom and, you're not commanded to fast by God anymore during Ramadan, it's like the gates are open.
Yeah, I sure do know what you mean.
Thanks a lot, John. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for calling, Kim. It was good talking to you.
Take care.
You too now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, our next caller. Do I dare push this button? Byron, do we got number 5? Good morning.
Hello.
Is this Judy?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Judy. How you doing today?
All right.
Good.
My my problems are a lot. I mean, multi.
Okay.
I have RA.
Okay.
In the early 90s, I juiced for about 4 years and kept getting worse. But I was still smoking.
Yes.
What could I expect? Anyway, I know about addictions, and I was talking about that woman before you.
Yes.
I did cold turkey after 40-some years.
Oh, great. Good job.
Congratulations. I just refused to give the drug companies any more money for their patches or whatnot. Anyway, of course, the juice diet didn't seem to help me. My condition kept getting worse and worse. And
now, did you do a juice fast, or did you just add juices to your diet?
Juice and then I would do vegetables and or rice and stuff like that. I don't eat meat.
Right.
Anyway, I've got crippling rheumatoid.
Yes.
And other problems. And I've been on Medicaid for a year or so. So I got into the system where I've got all these horrible drugs in my body. Methotrexate and Remicade infusion, which is going to stop in May because government says I have too much money. But I don't know what I'm going to do at that point.
Yes.
I don't know whether to go back to juicing. I know that my body's going to go through all kinds of changes. I can't go cold turkey off medication because then I'll be paralyzed. So, I mean, this is a big problem, John.
Yes, I do understand.
Want me to call you?
Yeah, you really need to. We will. I'll mention a few things today. Obviously, when there's this many things going on, I need to know a whole lot more about you. But you've already told me enough to help, so I can help you somewhat right now. First of all, when we want to get healthy, we have to look at all of the factors that determine our health. Since we have a biological existence, we have environmental needs, so that means our air, water, and food can't be polluted. It means we need to get adequate amounts of sunshine, exercise, and sleep. We also have to make sure we interpret those 6 interactions with our environment with a positive mental attitude. So we can't just look at one factor. I know I'm really talking a lot about nutrition right now, and it's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and I've been looking at all these things for a long time, and I have counselors, and I have people who help me.
Yes. Well, one thing I've learned, one of the most important things I've learned is all disease is basically based on toxicity, deficiency, dehydration, and alkalinity or acidity. Yeah. So to heal the body, we have to address all 4 of those issues. We have to cleanse the body, we need to rebuild the body, we have to rehydrate the body, and we also have to alkalize the body. And the one thing I've learned is if we're eating one food a day that's not considered ideal, if it's less than ideal, it will stop the cleansing process for that day, and we won't see any results for that day. Of course, that doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means that we're not going to get results for that day, and now we're not going to be discouraged when we don't see results. So you were doing some things back when you tried this before that was keeping you from seeing the results that you should have gotten. I work with a lot of people with arthritis, and people tell me, and they're right at your age, they're in the Medicaid, and they're telling me, I've tried everything for decades and nothing seems to work. And yet when I do nothing but juices, when I don't eat the rice, when I give myself a complete vacation from solid food, then my body is able to get rid of the toxins that are creating these autoimmune conditions.
Well, what about the medications you're putting into your body at the same time?
And that's a huge problem. So the problem with drugs is they're all liver toxic.
Right.
We need to learn how to get off those as soon as possible. Obviously, I'm in no position to tell you what not to take. My role as a wellness consultant is to basically give people the knowledge they need to make an informed decision. A lot of these drugs you can wean yourself off of. I work with a lot of people who are suffering from bipolar condition, and they're scared scared to death to get off some of their medication, and I understand. So, obviously...
I've gotten off the prednisone. I've gotten off the antidepressants.
Great.
I've gotten off just about everything but decaf coffee, and I know that's hurting me from the acid.
You bet. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. We're doing too many things that are acid-forming. Most of the food we're consuming, the beverages we're consuming are acid-forming. So what you want to do is address all four of those issues I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. You want to cleanse the body, and that's the big thing right now. Unfortunately, we haven't been told what our ideal diet is, and we're eating foods that are less than ideal, and that creates toxins in our body. It fools our cells where our body ends up attacking its own tissues in the case of rheumatoid arthritis. The good news is we can reverse these conditions, but boy, we got to get serious and realize that we can't.
You have to make sure your food is clean.
Exactly, and we can't keep doing the same thing we've always done. We've got to take responsibility and realize that drugs aren't the answer. You know, at this point in life, you know that the drugs aren't helping to an extent. I mean, at least they're not getting rid of the problem. They may relieve some of the pain, but there's other things we can do also.
Well, they keep me moving, John.
I sure do understand. There's a whole lot we can talk about, and I would love to hear from you. Once again, my number is 713-789-2223, and I'll help you any way I can. If all I do is point you the right direction, I'll be glad to do that. So be sure and give me a call later. You can leave a message on my machine right now or my service. And
so for now, you just want me to drink a lot of water, get off the acids, and do a mostly alkaline diet.
Yeah, and ideally, if you really want to see results quickly, go into a juice fast or a juice diet where all you're doing is drinking about a gallon of freshly made juices.
I heard you were coming on, and I got my juicer out, and I can't get, my hands are so crippled I can't get the top off.
Oh, my gosh. Well, there are other things we can do. There are other things that don't require as much energy to produce the juices. So there's a lot we can talk about. So,
all right, I'll go.
Thanks again for calling, Judy, and I look forward to talking to you later about all this.
John.
Okay, bye-bye now. Okay, Byron, that was line 5. Is that right? Do we go to line 6? Yes, it is. Line 6. Hello. Catherine?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi. Okay, I'm actually calling about the health of my son. I have a 3-year-old who began having lung problems when he was 3 months old. I had to rush him to the emergency room. He couldn't breathe. They did a steroid. They gave him an oral steroid, started him in albuterol, and he has been on albuterol or some form of it, levalbuterol, or some form of some kind of oral steroid ever since then, so he can breathe. He's got really bad allergies. I don't know what they're to. I can't afford to go to an allergist. I don't want to subject him to a patch test of 200 shots to figure out what it is that he's allergic to.
Right.
I've tried cutting certain foods out. I know wheat is a really big allergen to a lot of people. I'm on food stamps. The wheat-free foods are kind of out of my price range, and I just want to know what I can begin doing to help him get off of the albuterol, strengthen his immune system, so that he can be free when he's grown.
Well, Catherine, you've mentioned all the things that you need to do. We need to strengthen the immune system, and we know drugs aren't the answer for that. Obviously, I don't have enough information to know exactly what your son is going through. I don't know enough about his diet. Did you breastfeed your son?
I did. I breastfed him for 2 years. 2.5 years.
Okay. When did you start introducing solid food?
He was probably about, pretty early on, about 5 or 6 months old.
Okay. Did you start giving him grains at that time?
No, we started on fresh fruit. Bananas.
When did you introduce grains?
I was really careful about the grains and everything.
Good.
He probably didn't start eating grains until he was like 8 or 9 months old.
Okay.
Yeah, I did fresh fruits and vegetables, and I didn't use... when I first started giving him solid foods, I did, strictly fresh fruits. If it was, I would give him bananas, mashed up bananas, and, if I made potatoes or sweet potatoes, I would set aside a portion of the boiled sweet potatoes plain with nothing on them for him, and things like that. So, but the grains did get introduced probably around 8 or 9 months.
And you said that his problem began at 3 months, and this was the time you were breastfeeding.
Yes, and he had been on nothing but breast milk.
And what was your diet like?
Probably it left a lot to be desired.
Okay.
We were also, I think there's some pretty severe environmental factors. We were in Colorado. It was 2002 in Colorado.
Yes.
And the Hayman wildfires were burning really bad. And we were so close that there were embers, already dead embers falling on our porch. We were on evacuation notice. And then that's when I had no idea we were going into an environment where there was a wildfire burning. I hadn't seen the news.
Yes.
I get there 3 days later. I have to rush into the hospital, and then I find out, there's wildfires burning. Maybe this has something to do with it.
You bet. It sure does. And the problems began at 3 months. When did they start the steroids?
Well, they did the first, when I rushed him to the emergency room, they did the oral steroids. They sent me home with a portable nebulizer. They let me keep it for, I think, 2 days, and they told me to do treatments. I'm sorry, say that one more time. When did you start it again? How old was he? When he started the albuterol? No, yes. 3 months old. At the same time, okay. I just want to make sure. That's what I thought I heard. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's something. The lungs are extremely resilient. They heal faster than any other part of the body. And you mentioned some really important issues. The wildfires that could have been a source of irritation. Again, we can get pollution in our body from many sources. This is really quite an involved case. I really don't have any good advice at this point. I'd sure like to talk to you more about this, and I understand you're on food stamps. I'd never turn anyone away who doesn't have any money. So give me a call, and let's talk about this. I do have a few options that we can talk about, but I'm going to need to know a little bit more about your diet, and I can say one thing for sure. We shouldn't be feeding grains to children at such an early age. Yeah. It takes a year, maybe 2 years before they produce the right enzymes to digest grains. Oh, gosh. And on top of that, we're not grainivores to begin with. Grains are not an ideal diet for humans either. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't even feed them to adults, actually. We started doing that about 10,000 years ago, and our civilization really went downhill quick when we introduced grains into society. The only true grainivores on this planet are birds, and they have a special organ to digest those foods. The fact that we can't eat grains raw pretty much tells us that there's something wrong with that food. But there's a few more things that I would like to talk to you about, and again, my phone lines are lit up, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next caller. Be sure to leave your number on my service, 713-789-2223, and I'll get back with you on this and ask you some more questions and give you some options. It was great talking with you. Thank you. And bye-bye, Catherine. Mm-hmm. Okay, going to the next caller. I believe we're at line 1. Byron, are you pushing these numbers for me, or do I need to push them? I'm almost afraid to push the button. Barbara, you on the air?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are you doing today, John?
It's been a really good day for me so far. How's your day going?
Okay. I'm just concerned about my mother.
Okay.
She is about 100 pounds overweight.
Yes.
She works a full-time job, but she gets a pain in her legs lately, and I was trying to figure out ways to get her into a healthier lifestyle so she'll be around longer.
Oh, boy.
Mom, yeah, she's 48.
40, I was just going to ask how old she is.
Yes, and she's not the best with her diet's not really good, the food that she eats.
Right.
And I was just trying to figure out a way, or how can I get her into a better lifestyle, That's
a good question. It's the ones we love the most are the ones that will absolutely break our hearts. How do you motivate your loved ones to change? Gosh, if they're not ready, there's not a whole lot we can do, is there? They got to really want it.
Right.
You can, I'll be real honest with you. I struggled with my siblings for a long time. And I'm a real nice guy, and I tried the nice guy approach for years, and that didn't seem to get through to him. And finally, I emailed them all a real nasty letter and said, I'm ashamed of all of you, all you guys. Of course, I wasn't, but I said it just to rattle their cages, and it worked. So, come from a place of love is always the best place to come, and help her understand that you want her to be around longer. And there are simple ways to lose weight. When people do a juice fast, God, when you're 100 pounds overweight, you can lose 30 pounds in 30 days real easily.
Okay.
And I get the same 3 comments from everybody when I coach them. They say, I can't believe it's this easy. I can't believe I'm not hungry. I can't believe how much energy I have. But it's just like smoking cigarettes. If you love them more than you hate them, if you're giving your body mixed signals, it's very difficult to make these changes. Maybe if she goes to my website, that might motivate her. www.ultimateweightloss.com. Okay. I don't go into any details on my website. All I do is I show these god-awful pictures of the garbage inside of our pipes, and I explain the benefits of what will happen when we cleanse our body from this waste matter. That might work. If she wants to give me a call, I'll be glad to talk to her. Maybe that might help.
Okay.
I wish I had a good answer for that question, because I know that's a concern a lot of people have. Perhaps the best thing to do is be a good example for her. I'm the youngest in my family, so the fact that I looked younger than everyone else didn't mean much. Had I been the oldest in the family, I think my siblings would have said, well, wait a minute, John's 10 years older than we are, but he looked better than we do. I guess, it's best to be the change we want to see in other people. Just try to be a good example, and if there's anything else I can do.
You've done plenty. Thank you for that. I'm definitely going to log onto your website. Thank you, and I'll just try to take it from there by making gentle suggestions, and I'll give her a tough love if that doesn't work.
There you go. As a last resort only, of course.
Okay.
Great talking to you, Barbara.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye now. Okay, we're going to go to the next line. I believe this is Merrill. They hung up on me, or did I hang up on them? Ooh, line 3, anonymous. Who can this be?
Hi.
Hello?
It's me, and the reason for anonymity is that I don't like to give out my name or
okay. All right.
But I just started hearing your program halfway, and I don't know if you'll be able to help us or not, but I thought I wouldn't lose anything asking.
Okay.
My daughter, we have a 10-year-old now. She was diagnosed with scleroderma, and
yes.
We happen to, one of us happens to be a physician in family, and we're very much, somehow we feel that it has something to do with the environment.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the only alternative that we were offered at Texas Children's was to put her on methotrexate. We are against it. She's very stable right now. We've been taking her all the way out to California for alternative treatment at Riverside. And this gentleman, this doctor, is a trained rheumatologist, treats her with antibiotics. Now, I was just wondering, you mentioned something about diet, and I do believe that diet probably has a very big role, because we obviously end up stuffing ourselves with a lot of chemicals.
Yes.
What would you recommend? I don't even know if you have had if you treated anyone, again, or advised anyone suffering from scleroderma.
I am very familiar, I am familiar with the condition. I have not had an opportunity to coach anyone personally with this condition, but I'm looking forward to it, because one of the many things I've studied over the last 15, 16 years are a group of people who came up with 7 stages of disease, and from what I understand, scleroderma would be in the 6th stage. And basically, disease is a bodily process. It's how the body's dealing with usually toxins in the environment. And I would like to believe that a clean diet would help a person with this condition. I would love to talk to you more about this and run these stages of disease by you. Are you a doctor yourself? Or you said you have a doctor in the family?
She is. My wife is.
Oh, your wife is, okay. I would love to talk to your wife and run these 7 stages of disease by her and see what she thinks and see if she thinks that there's a connection. Again, I don't have any personal or professional experience one-on-one with a person with this condition, but I am familiar with it, and I recognize it as the 6th stage. Basically, what I've learned is it doesn't matter what stage you're in. If you eliminate the cause, then the symptoms go away.
Right.
So I'd be glad to talk to you more about this if you want to give me a call.
Yes.
You pick up my phone number at 713-789-2223.
Right, 789-2223. And your name is John?
John Rose, like the flower, R-O-S-E.
Got it. Thank you very much, and we'll definitely follow this up, probably, I would say, within a day or 2.
Great. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about this.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Okay, we've got Lisa on the air.
Hello.
Lisa, hi.
Hi. I believe that you believe in what you're saying, but since you're not giving any specifics, it sounds like an infomercial, and it sounds like with all this waste that you're talking about, that you're talking about constipation, and I realize that constipation, makes people fussy or puts them in a bad mood, makes them feel bad and all that, and so, that's what it sounds like what you're talking about.
To an extent,
are you
bet.
going to be giving any specifics about your program?
You bet.
Because
I'm going to be on for 2 hours or another hour and a half.
Free information on how people can deal with constipation if they want to write this down. Foolproof plan.
I'd like to hear it. Tell me.
Okay. What you do is you get up in the morning, you drink 2 glasses of water, you eat an apple and a bowl of oatmeal, you'll be fine by lunch. Write that down.
All right.
And that's all I have to say. So go ahead with the specifics of your plan, though.
Okay. Would you like to hear what I have to say about this? You want to hang on? There are 2 types of constipation, and this is pretty much what I'm talking about. What I've learned, and I'm a food research scientist. I've been studying this for 16 years. And I know that some foods take way too long to go through our 30-foot food tube. Way too long. They'll take 2, 3, 4, 5 times as long as they should. And what happens when we do this is the average American probably has 12 to 15 meals backed up inside their intestines. So now instead of having a fast-moving sewage system, they have a slow, stagnant cesspool. And this cesspool is constantly seeping its waste matter back into our body through a process that we call autointoxication. This is well researched in the medical field. They call it leaky gut syndrome. Unfortunately, the leaky gut syndrome is not commonly taught as part of the medical curriculum, nor is it taught as the abbreviated curriculum that they teach nutritionists and dietitians. There's also basically 2 forms of constipation. We can be mildly constipated, or we can be severely constipated. And I work with a lot of people severely constipated, where they go once a week, maybe twice a week. I've had one woman, when she was pregnant many years back, only went once a whole month. And it kind of boggles your mind to think that people wouldn't recognize something is wrong.
Right.
But there's also a mild form of constipation where we can be going to the bathroom every day, and we don't think there's anything wrong. We might even be going to the bathroom 3 or 4 times a day, but yet we're still really backed up. So your solution might get things to move, but it's not necessarily going to clean that entire 30-foot food tube out. And that's where I kick in the juice fast. Again, if you drink about a gallon of juice and that's all you do, if you give your body everything it needs, all the essential fatty acids, you can take some flax oil for men. Women can use flax and borage oil. If you make sure the bowels are moving as frequently as possible, and there are a lot of ways to do that. There are herbs you can take. As a wellness consultant, I never tell anybody what to do. My job is to simply give knowledge so they can make an informed decision. And when you do that, what will happen is you will be amazed at how many days you will go day after day after day after day and have stuff come out of you. Now, my longest juice fast of 90 days, I thought constipated. I had bowel movements every day. I wasn't overweight. I only had 9 pounds of fat on my body. But yet, in those 90 days, I had 20 pounds of uneliminated waste matter come out of me.
Well, thank you, man.
And,
all right.
So I appreciate the advice. The only problem, if you look at oatmeal, put some oatmeal in a bowl and turn it upside down, what does it do? It sticks in the bowl, doesn't it?
Well, it depends on your oatmeal, but yeah. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
It's completely water soluble. But anyway, I have to go.
Okay, well, thanks for calling.
You had a good answer, and I guess I'm just healthier than other people. I don't know.
Well, let's hope so.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks for calling, Lisa. Okay, I'd like to remind everyone this is a call-in show. The number here at KPFT is 713-526-5738. 713-JAM-KPFT. We're talking about how to get and stay healthy. We've got another caller on the air. Merrill? Is that how we pronounce that? Merle.
That's okay. It was a long wait.
I'm sorry about that, Merle.
It's okay. Anyway,
I tried to click you on one time, and it didn't click over, darn it.
Anyway, I can't wait till next Tuesday because it's Men's Week.
You betcha.
But since I'm in touch with my feminine side, I'm going to listen to you today.
Good man.
Just a couple things quickly. When you first started to talk, the first thing that came to my mind was Dr. Schultz. Now, you can elaborate on that if you know and if you can, because I've known about him since I was going to school in L.A. in like about 82.
You betcha.
And some lady called and was talking about talking to you last night and your plan, and you were talking about some things that you were doing. Can you just briefly tell me or tell us what it is you do, what it is about your plan before I go on your website.
Of course, you betcha.
All right, I'll listen and I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, first of all, I'm a very big fan of Dr. Schultz, mainly because Dr. Schultz has experience with fasting. It's one thing to read about something, but it's another to actually have experience with it. And I remember when I first read an article by Dr. Schultz on juice fasting, he said that when he did his first 30-day juice fast, he realized there was a whole lot more to fasting than what he believed. And once he did his first 60-day juice fast, and it may be his only juice fast of 60 days, I'm not sure, but he realized at that point that juice fasting is the answer to solve just about every health problem we have. Because our body's basically a pipe system, and it gets plugged up, and this will unplug it. When you do what it takes to clean out your colon, the large intestines, every other cell in your body will also cleanse itself out. So, as a wellness consultant, that's what I do. I teach people how to get and stay healthy by following a very simple philosophy of both cleansing and rebuilding. In the beginning, the cleansing part of my program is the most important part of my program because most people have never been on a really serious cleansing program, and they really have no idea that they have something inside them that doesn't belong there. They have no idea what it's doing to them. They have no idea what's going to happen when they get rid of it. But once they do go on a cleansing program, and once they see with their own eyes and smell with their own nose, once they finally realize that they have something inside there that doesn't belong there, and once they actually develop an attitude that they'll do whatever it takes to keep that stuff out of them, then my rebuilding programs become equally, if not more, important. Even though it sounds like I'm focusing exclusively on nutrition, I'm not. As a wellness consultant, I look at all the ways that we interact with our environment. It helps to get chlorine out of your shower by putting a chlorine shower filter. You don't want to drink tap water. You want to take walks in the woods. You got to get exercise. But the main thing you want to do, if you've been living incorrectly, is you want to give your body a vacation. And that's what a juice fast will do. A water fast also works, by the way, but it's a different type of mechanism that's at work. When we do a water fast and all we do is consume nothing but water, we basically turn our body into an eating machine. We cannibalize garbage in our bodies. But on a juice fast, we turn our body into a cleansing machine, and the biggest difference between those two is we want to make sure the bowels move frequently. And sometimes we actually have to help our liver and support our liver. Since we're talking about women's health issues today, a lot of women's health problems are directly related to having a congested liver. So endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroid tumors, ovarian cysts, hypothyroidism, fibromyalgia. A lot of these conditions that women have are directly related to the liver being congested also. But once again, when you do what it takes to clean out the large intestines, every other cell in your body is going to empty out its waste matter. So your vision improves, your hearing improves, your skin will go through a transformation you absolutely won't believe. Right now, we're treating symptoms. When women go through menopause, we're doing hormone replacement therapies, the hysterectomies. These are all unneeded. 50% of adult women have fibrocystic disease of the breast, and that's mainly caused because of the mammograms. We got to stop using mammograms as a way of preventive disease. The only true way of preventing is to change what we're doing. Early diagnosis is not preventing anything. We need to realize that mammograms have 1,000 times greater radiation than a chest x-ray. So I appreciate Meryl, I probably butchered your name once again, for listening to my show today. Even though this show is about women's health issues, the diseases that are killing women are the same that are killing men: heart disease and cancer, and then we have diabetes and arthritis. All of these are reversible conditions. Once again, the New England Journal of Medicine came out and said that 70% of our diseases are lifestyle related. We need to take responsibility. I noticed that the phone lines are lit up once again. Let's go to line 1. Jennifer.
Yes.
Good morning, Jennifer.
How are you?
Great day over here. How's yours?
Pretty good.
Great.
I had a stroke 9 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm having muscle contractions on my right side.
Uh-huh.
And I've been on every type of muscle relaxers, and nothing seems to help it. Do you have any suggestions?
And that was the side that you had problems on?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your diet like?
Oh, bad. And I'm a smoker still.
Okay. Well, that's where I would begin. Start making some improvements in what you're doing. Try to eat a cleaner diet. Basically, most of our health problems are a produce deficiency disease. If you look at all the countries around the world who have the least amount of heart disease and strokes and cancer, they're eating mostly unrefined plant foods. So the best advice I could give to you would be to try to clean up your diet. Try to get away from those cigarettes. Oh, gosh almighty. How old are you now?
I'm 51.
Oh, my gosh. That's too young to be having
a stroke.
I
was 43 when I had it.
Yes. Way too early, way too early. Well, that just tells me I wouldn't waste any time at this point in your life to start making some serious changes. And I agree with what Dr. Dean Ornish said. He came out on PBS maybe 6 years ago and said that that our whole way of changing has changed in itself. Instead of taking the baby step approach that we always thought was the best, he understands that the quantum leap approach is the only way to do this. Because when you do the quantum leap approach, what happens is you see great results very quickly. And that's what you need to stay motivated. That's why I encourage all of my students to start their journey on a better way of life, to start with a juice fast. It just, there's so many problems are caused because we're toxic and we're deficient and we're dehydrated and we're too acidic. And the juices, drank about a gallon of juices, drank about a pint every 2 hours. And this is the solution. This is the way to get our bodies healing itself, because our bodies do know how to heal themselves.
Okay, but then I need to buy a juicer, correct?
You betcha.
You can't buy the juice from the store.
That's a real good point. Thanks for bringing that up. No, store-bought juices are normally pasteurized, so we need the enzymes that are intact in fresh, live juices. So you'll want to get you a juice extractor. And if you're not sure what kind to get, why don't you give me a call, 713-789-2223. I can email you my file on juicers, or I can real quickly go over the kind of juicers that we have. In the meantime, I see my phone lines are all filled up once again. I'm going to go ahead and get to the next caller.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for calling. Good talking to you, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to line 2. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got two. I'm not number one. I'm not a woman, but I'm enjoying the show immensely.
Great.
I've made some life changes towards health. I have two questions.
Okay.
What about a fruit fast?
Yes.
Number one, and number two, what about colonic irrigation as far as cleansing? And I'll hang up and listen.
And what's your name?
Joe.
Joe. Okay, Joe, great questions. Yeah, in fact, a lot of people in different countries will take off, especially in France, and they'll go to these grape vineyards and do nothing but eat grapes for 2 weeks in a row. That is very therapeutic. There's even a woman who healed her cancer, a book out called The Grape Cure, where all she did was eat grapes for that period of time. So yeah, that is definitely one way to cleanse the body very aggressively. Fruits are the cleansers. Obviously, fruits are not a way of life permanently, even though we are biologically fruitarians or frugivores, where fruit should dominate our diet. Unfortunately, nowadays, the fruits are too hybridized, they're too low in sugar, too high in sugar, rather, too low in minerals. So that's why most people need to consume about 2 pounds of leafy greens onto their diet. But there's nothing wrong for a short period of time to eat an exclusive fruit diet. And then for colonics, you bet. I'm in favor of anything that will help get rid of garbage in the system. As long as you don't have any adverse feelings about it, I'd say go for it. Anything, herbs, enemas, colonics, I'm in favor of all of those. When it comes to the colonics, I prefer the gravity-fed over the other machines. So, Joe, I hope that answers your question, and I thank you for listening to the show, and I hope other men are out there listening, too, because all of us have women in our lives somewhere. So we need to help them out if they're not listening. And if you can, call them up and tell them to listen to the show. We're going to go to another man, line 3. We've got Michael. Good morning, Michael. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Great.
Listening to your show, and I'm really intrigued by it because about 3 to 4 years ago, I started moving toward mostly vegetarian, and I'm not there yet, but I'm more on seafood now. I'm giving up the chicken, beef, and everything else. But I do work out a lot, and I still need, some type of energy and some type of protein to move me in that direction. Now, I do like your your juice that you talked about, fasting on juice.
Yes.
My question to you, and I think the lady already answered it, what type of juice, which you've stated you will probably provide it once we call you. But what's the process afterwards? I mean, what do you do afterwards once you get through that?
Great question, Michael. Yeah, hopefully we'll go to what I call an ideal diet for we humans. And we humans are primates. Our diet should be very close to other primates. Every animal on this planet, it can be classified according to what kind of food they eat based on their anatomical characteristics. And if you look at our anatomical characteristics, our anatomy is identical to the plant eaters. Our DNA is almost identical to the other primates. So an ideal diet for we humans, to answer your question, would be 100% raw, organic plant foods, primarily fruits, secondarily vegetables, nuts, and seeds. We can include seed vegetables into that. There's nothing that is in animal products that cannot be found in plant products. However, there are some people, let's say if you're from a Norwegian ancestry, you've been eating so much fish for several millenniums that your body is not very efficient at producing level 2 nutrients like the DHA that comes from omega-3. So you might need to get some sort of direct source of DHA. And actually the best source, you can get vegetarian supplements that are from the algae, which is where the fish is getting their DHA. As far as energy goes, and protein for people who are active, I'm real active. I got into this because I was an athlete. I was exercising 7-8 hours a day, 50 hours a week. When I first became a vegetarian, my endurance level skyrocketed. When I went to the next level and quit eating cooked food, huge difference. It was like night and day. I took it to the next level. Back then, I could work out 2 or 3 or 4 hours, come in and eat, and when I was eating a vegetarian diet, I'd have to wait 3 or 4 hours to let my food digest before I went out for my next workout. But when I was switched to living food, I didn't have to wait that long. I could get back out there within a half an hour. And there's plenty of protein in your green leafy vegetables. In fact, if you look at your green leafy vegetables, there's more protein, better protein in your leafy greens than there is in flesh foods. Also, raw protein has twice the biological value of cooked protein. When we cook protein, it coagulates it. The proteins that they found in animal products are known, proven carcinogenic substance, meaning it's causing cancer. So, Michael, you're definitely going the right direction. The thing I would suggest to you would try to incorporate more unprocessed foods, more fruits, especially if you're very active. You want to consume those immediately after you work out to take advantage of your body converting those into glycogen as rapidly as possible.
Hey, I like that. I have one more before we get out. Before I get out there.
Okay.
Tell me this. I don't believe in this overnight, just cut it off. To me, I've been gradually doing it. It's a long process.
Yes.
For me. What do you suggest in that? Because I don't, I hear people saying, I gave it up just like,
yeah, you bet.
I've seen bad results from that.
Good question. Good point. That's one reason why I put together 9 different programs, because not everybody wants to go about the same approach, and I'm not going to force somebody to say, no, you got to do it my way. Although, as I mentioned before to another caller, that the quantum leap approach is actually a lot easier than it might sound. A lot of people, what I mentioned in my video that I put out, I mentioned that we can't just go from point A to point B. If we're consuming what we call the standard American diet, and I'm over here saying, and on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1's the worst and that's the number 1, I'm saying over here a raw vegan diet is number 10. If you went from 1 to 10, you would shock your system. Be too much fiber. So that's why the best transition would be the juice fast. It gives your body what it's really been dying for, and that's a vacation. Otherwise, you make a good point. You can't overdo the fiber initially. If you do a juice fast and you go right back to where you were, that's not doing any good either. So some people do need to take a more gradual approach. So that's why I always never tell any of my students what to do. I let them make the decisions. Again, my role is to give people the knowledge so they can make an informed decision. You want to change as fast as your body will allow you, and there's no reason why you can't change gears and go backwards every now and then if that's what you have to do. So,
hey, thanks again. I appreciate it, all of this.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking with you, Michael.
Okay.
All righty, we've got the phone lines are once again all lit up, and I believe we're going to line 4. Dion.
Yes, how you doing?
Good morning. Could you please turn your radio down? We got a little feedback going.
Got it down.
All right. What's been going on, buddy?
I got a quick question.
Okay.
You said juice fast.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
What effect does juice fast have on the diabetic?
when there's a lot of sugar or natural sugars in those juices?
Super question. I'm so glad you asked that question. You guys are making my job so easy up here. I had so much to go over today, and I was wondering how am I going to do this, but I knew you guys would help me out. I coach people who are diabetics all the time, and people always ask me when I do a juice fast, what should I juice? And my normal response is, well, drink what you like so you enjoy the journey and you go a long distance. But with certain people, you can't be that select. You have to be a little more selective. Diabetics, people with cancer, anyone with blood sugar problems, or people with Crohn's disease, for example, they need to be more selective and consume mainly vegetables. Now, I just got through working with a man just recently, and he didn't have a juicer yet. So what we did...
You mean vegetable juices?
Yes, sir, vegetable juices. And now sometimes...
Does VA count?
No, you can't buy that store-bought stuff, darn it, and that's a shame because it sure is a lot of work juicing those vegetables.
Okay.
And then specifically for diabetics, let me digress for a moment here. Green beans and Brussels sprouts have the nutrients to help feed the pancreas, although most people with diabetes usually have what we call insulin resistance, which means the cells are just too toxic and they can't receive the sugar from the blood. So when you go on something as aggressive as a cleanse, like a juice fast or a lemonade fast, the body cleanses out those toxins from the cells and the cells are able to receive the sugar. Now, I started to mention I just worked with a guy a couple weeks ago who didn't have a juicer yet, and he wanted to give us a shot. So we did what's called the lemonade fast, and what we used was agave nectar, which has a very low glycemic response. We used water and cayenne pepper, and instead of using maple syrup that's used in the traditional recipe...
I've done that fast before.
Okay, then you know how that works. Well, if you use agave nectar, it has a very low glycemic response, and from day one, this man was very in tune to his body. He always knew when he had to take his medication, and from day one, his blood sugar levels were lower than ever, and he never had to take any medication. So you do have to be careful. Anytime you make any kind of dietary changes for diabetics, you always have to monitor your blood sugar, regardless of what those changes are. And when it comes to juice fasting, you have to be very, very careful. You may even have problems with carrot juice. Some of my students do, and if that's the case, then you go to more cucumbers and celery to make up for where carrots would fill into the place.
Normally, when diabetics, you want a more of a vegetable juice.
Yeah, it's got to be vegetables and carrots. Normally what we do when we make vegetable juice is we dilute vegetables, green vegetables, with carrots, or carrots and apple in a ratio of 2 to 1, maybe 3 to 1. So if you had 5 ounces of leafy greens, you'd have 10 to 15 ounces of carrots. And carrots does have some sugar in it, and for some people it is problematic. If it is, then what we do is we switch over to cucumbers and celery to help dilute those green vegetables. And for some diabetics, they won't be able to do that. Now, if for type 1 diabetics, we can actually juice Jerusalem artichokes, which has naturally occurring insulin in it. And that many times will help people avoid having to take as much insulin as they do. So you can go from maybe 20 units down to 5 units a day. But again, everybody needs to realize they know their bodies better than anybody else. They know what's going on. Monitor what you're doing when you make these kind of changes. And there's no reason why within a couple of weeks you can't get off medication for these so-called incurable conditions.
Okay. Thanks for the information.
I enjoyed talking to you, Dion.
All right.
Okay, next caller, we've got Russell on line 5.
Yes, how you doing today?
Good day, Russell. How's yours going?
Going okay. I'm in my vehicle listening to you, and I've been in and out a few times, so I may be asking a question that someone else already asked.
No problem. Someone else might have missed the question, too, so we'll get a chance to go over it.
I have an aunt that's in the hospital right now.
Yes.
And she has cancer, and they say it has, I don't know how long she's had it. We were thinking she had it for a while and just wasn't telling us.
Okay.
But they say it has spread all over her body, and they're giving her like 6 months.
Okay.
And so I wanted to find out what would be, maybe the 2 or 3 things that we could do as, relatives that could help her out.
You bet. I'll tell you what to do right off the bat. When I work with people with cancer, the very first thing I do is I turn them on to Dr. Lorraine Day. She has about a dozen videos out, and the very first one she put out is called Cancer Doesn't Scare Me Anymore. People, the first thing they need is hope. They need to realize that cancer is not a death sentence.
She is seeming like she's got hope. She's
good.
Saying she's going to put up a fight.
Great. That's the first thing we got to know is where is she at? Where's her mentality at? If she believes in doctors, the last thing we want to do is to not give doctors their fair share, because believing in whatever you do is probably more important than anything else. So I would begin with that. And when I coached Rudy T when he had cancer, basically I did the same thing with him that I do with all of my students. We cleanse the body, we rebuild the body, we rehydrate the body, but more importantly, especially with cancer, we alkalize the body. That's where the green leafy vegetables come into play. When I coach people with cancer, I use a somewhat modified Gerson program, where Dr. Gerson said all disease is based on toxicity and deficiency, and as you can see, I stole from him, but I added to it. He says that people with cancer have damaged livers, so to heal the body, the two things you detoxify are the colon and the liver. To clean the colon, he basically put him on a juice fast just about. He gave him 13 8-ounce glasses of juice a day. But then for the liver, he gave him coffee enemas. And coffee enemas will help open up the bile ducts in the liver and help release the toxins that the liver has stored. So very important when you do all those juices. When you have cancer, you got to support the liver. And when you're doing and for every coffee enema you do, you got to have at least 24 ounces of vegetable juice to balance out the electrolytes. So if you want to give me a call, 713-789-2223. I can turn you on to other websites, other videos. If she's in town, I can coach her here. If that's what you want to do, I'll help you any way I can. I really can. I'm on a mission in life to stop the needless suffering. Money's not what I'm all about. I do more pro bono than I do anything else.
What was that number again?
My phone number is 713-789-2223. Leave a message on my machine. I'll get back with you, and I'll help you any way I can, Russell. Anything I can do for you.
Okay, and that was 2223, huh?
That is correct.
And breaking up.
Yeah, and if you lose that number, if you go to Google and type in John and weight loss, my website will probably be the first half a dozen or so that show up. So for you people who can't write down numbers, and if you can't remember all the addresses I gave, just remember John and weight loss, and that will usually find me on the internet pretty quickly, and my phone number is on my website also.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and have one of her children, she's got 3 children, get in touch with you, because I'm not around her as much as they are, and she needs to have somebody who's going to see her on a regular basis that's kind of connected and, in contact with you.
That's a great idea, Russell. Let's save your aunt's life. Let's do it.
So I appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. All right. I was going to say you're listening to KPFT 90.1 FM here in Houston, Texas. And today we're talking about women's health issues. And we're going to go to the top of the line. Once again, the phone lines have been lit up the whole time I've been here. And I think we just lost someone there. Let's see what happens here. Kim, are you on the air with us?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Kim.
I'm taking
I'm sorry, say again?
Acidophilus.
Okay.
The pills to put bacteria back into your intestine.
Yes.
And I was questioning that, do I need to take it every day, or is it just until, just continue like I would take a multivitamin?
And have you recently taken antibiotics? Is that the reason why you're taking this, or?
No, well, I recently had food poisoning about a month ago.
I see.
And when I went to Whole Foods, they told me the best thing to do is take the Acidophilus, and also it makes you really regular and things of that nature.
Yes,
so that's why I was wondering, do I just need to continue taking it like I would take a multivitamin?
Yeah, that's normally with most of these type of supplements, like Acidophilus, as it says on the label, you normally take it for 1 to 2 months normally to make sure that you replenish your stores of flora.
Okay.
So that should do the trick. What kind are you taking?
I forgot the name of it.
It doesn't matter. I'm sure the label pretty much says what I just said. I'm kind of regurgitating what I've read on labels too. But that's usually pretty standard. Usually a 30-day program.
Okay, so just a 30-day doesn't need to be a regular thing, or everyday thing.
Oh no, not if we're eating healthy. We should be able to produce all that good flora all by ourselves if we're eating healthily.
Okay, well, that's what I need to know.
Okay, it was great talking with you, Kim. Okay, we got more callers coming in. I'd like to remind everyone our phone number is 713-526-5738. And we have Carol on the line. Good morning, Carol.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm an adult female with one sex partner, and I suffer from chronic bacterial infections in my genitalia area.
Yes.
And I see a traditional gynecologist, and he constantly treats me with either antibiotics or boric acid suppositories.
Okay.
But in the last year, my family and I have switched to a plant-based diet.
Good.
So, and my doctor's not interested in discussing anything that I can do to help curb this problem.
Yes.
So I'm just looking for some alternative information.
You bet. Okay. With infections, usually what we have is usually an inflammation alongside of it. So that means we're toxic. So the solution is pretty much the same in every case. I would strongly suggest going on a juice fast. While you're juice fasting, if you like, if you're concerned about any beasties in that area, you can juice some garlic along with those juices and add a little cayenne pepper. They say that garlic and cayenne pepper is nature's antibiotic. But that's my approach to any kind of infection like this, whether we've got vaginitis or candida or whatever kind of overgrowth we have. The best solution is to just clean everything out and then come back and reestablish the friendly bacteria at the very end of that.
Okay.
That's how I would go about that myself.
Okay.
Does that pretty much answer it for you?
Yes.
Okay, Carol. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We've got Heather. Good morning, Heather.
How are you?
Great day here. How's yours going?
Good. I have a question about mold. Recently, they discovered mold in my living conditions, and I was a 26-year-old healthy female, and I've been experiencing fatigue, bloody noses, sneezing.
Yes.
My body's just so weak. Is there any vitamins you would suggest to overcome this?
God, that's a serious problem. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we can get toxins in our environment anywhere, and mold is definitely a serious problem that we face in Houston with the rainy weather we have. Did you end up with any kind of nodules? Have you been tested for that or not? Do they know?
No, I'm seeing my doctor tomorrow. I just recently moved 2 days ago from the environment, so
that's
I'm just trying to recoup right now and just getting my day-to-day health back.
You bet. That's what I would. You did the best thing, the thing you need to do, and that's move out of the environment. There are several things. I have a file on this. If you'd like to give me a call, I'd be more than happy to shoot it out your way. I did a little bit of research on this a while back when my niece had this problem. So why don't you give me a call at 713-789-2223, and I'll just give me your email address, and I'll email you that file. And I have a list of things that you can do on there already.
Are there any vitamins you'd suggest taking now? I read potassium and calcium. I don't know if there's probably not a quick fix to this.
Not really, but I do mention there are some things that you can take on there, and I'll shoot that out to you later today, so you'll be able to have a look. You'll be able to look at that over.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Hey, you bet, Heather. It's good talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, once again, we've got number 4 lit up, and this is Mark. Hi, Mark. You still with us, Mark, or did I lose you? Hello? Mark. Okay, I guess we lost Mark somehow. Let's go to number 5. Mary, good morning.
Good morning.
How's your day going?
Tell Mark hello for me.
Okay, I sure will.
Thank you, Mark.
Definitely.
Basically, and I'm so glad you all are doing this, the wonderful thing you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, I've had a lot of chronic illness for a long time, so about 3 months ago I was tested for some chemicals and for heavy metals.
Yes.
And it verified a lot of things I knew about myself, most especially mercury.
Yes.
So that was terrible to have, but then I went on to take an oral chelator called DMSA for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know where that's headed.
Yeah, and then I was guided in the direction of a far infrared sauna, and I did that 7 times, but in 7 times in 1 month I never sweated because I don't sweat hardly at all. It's just barely damp. And I'm told that this is a part of being as sick as I've been. So do you know, I'm told that yarrow tea can help one to sweat. What is your suggestion? Do you have any?
I'll tell you what I'll do real quick. Let me pull out my little trusty herb book.
Okay.
I studied herbs.
It doesn't have to be herbs, but I mean anything you have to say about heavy metals.
Sure, yeah, I've got a lot to say about that.
Okay, great.
Okay, I just found your right now, and what are the qualities? I studied herbs a long time ago, back when I was first learning all about this, and then I realized that herbs really aren't the solution as much as eating a better diet and fasting. But yeah, the very first property, that's what it does. It helps you sweat. So yeah, that will, to answer your question.
That's why ARROW.
Exactly, it sure is.
Okay, thanks.
And then as far as what else I'd suggest, I was working with a woman about a year ago who did a lot of research in this area, and she found all the top people in town to go to. She really did all the hard work that I would normally have to do. If you want to give me a call, I'll relay that information on to you. I don't have her file in front of me. Obviously, I can't carry around all my clients' files or my students' files, but if you give me a call back, I got some names of some doctors here in town that will specialize in helping you with your heavy metals. My number is 713-789-2223.
Okay, 2223.
Yeah, and just remind me what this is about. I'm taking a note of everything, so I'll make a note here to...
That's great. And I don't know your name.
John?
I just tuned in.
Okay, it's John Rose, R-O-S-E, just like the flower.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, Mary, thanks for calling.
Thanks so much.
Look forward to talking to you later.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we've got line 1 lit up. Is this Indica?
Hi, let me turn my radio down just a second.
Very good. Hello? Did we lose her? No,
sorry, I'm here.
Okay, there you are.
I had to go across the room.
All right.
For someone who, actually I'm speaking for myself, if I were to consider doing the juice fast and I'm taking a medication that pretty much requires that I have some kind of protein in my stomach before, in order for it to not irritate my situation, or, just my stomach.
Yes.
And the idea is to get to the point where I don't have to take that medication, but it's a transition space, so how would I address that? I mean, I haven't tried the juice fast. Maybe if I were to try it and take my medicine just as a juice, maybe it would be okay, but my experience has been I need a protein.
Right. Yeah, you nailed it right on the head. That's exactly what every one of my students has to do. Find out what works and what doesn't work. You could give it a try, and if it doesn't bother your stomach, then you're home free, and then you'll be off that drug before long. But otherwise, yeah, you might need to actually... go at a little bit slower pace in the beginning.
So maybe eat, instead of eating, some kind of meat or dairy, I could eat nuts or something.
Sure, you bet.
Okay, that's pretty much what I had thought, but I just thought I'd ask to see if you had any other ideas.
You bet. I'm sure you understand medication is definitely not the answer. That's why you're calling in.
Yeah.
We're only treating a symptom that way, and the body can heal itself if we get out of the way of it, which means we got to really clean up our act. I don't know if you listened to the entire show or not, but basically what I'm talking about here is eating a diet very high in unrefined plant foods.
Right.
Dr. Joel Fuhrman's one of his latest books he came out with last year is Eat to Live.
Yeah, I have that one.
And I love that table on page 51 where he has that chart where he has the killer diseases going one way and the unrefined plant food the other. And it's perfectly symmetrical. The countries that are consuming 90% or more unrefined plant foods have less than 10% killer diseases, and it's just the opposite. If you're consuming less than 10% unrefined plant foods, which is what we do in America, you're in the 90% percentile of the killer diseases. So we need to wake up to this fact and make some changes. So I commend you for realizing that and buying Fuhrman's book. You're on the right path. So
well, I know a lot, and actually, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I've heard it. You're probably about the 10th person I've heard. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. There are a lot of factors in my life that play into it. One of them is the cravings issue. The other issue is that I am in pain, and so it's hard for me to be in the kitchen. I'm a single mother. So it's like I need a support group. I need, the raw food potlucks happening every night.
Exactly. Yeah, you bet.
So I'm going to give you a call, and I'm hoping maybe you can be one of the pieces that can help me get my butt in gear. But
well, you bet. A lot of times when people hire me for a coach, they do so because they need someone to be accountable to. They need someone to call them every day and say, "Come on, how you doing? What are you doing? What are your concerns? What are your questions?" In the meantime, what you can do if you're in a lot of pain, you might want to look into doing the coffee enemas. Dr. Gerson, he found out the hard way that people couldn't keep doing drugs because when they had cancer, because all drugs are liver toxic.
Right.
So when people came out to his clinic, he told them, look, we got to heal your liver. You got to get off the drugs. And if you're on pain medication, for example, normally we'd be giving you 4 or 5 coffee enemas a day to help flush your liver out if you have cancer. But if you're having pain, we'll give you the coffee enemas around the clock every 2 hours. We'll give you a coffee enema because the coffee will help get rid of the toxins in your body, and pain is relative to how many toxins are in your body.
Yeah.
So the more toxic you are, the more pain you experience. So you might try the coffee enemas to help you with your pain, but remember, for every coffee enema you do, according to Max Gerson, you also have to do 24 ounces of vegetable juices along with that.
Okay, you said, where can we get information about the juicers themselves?
You can call me at 713-789-2223. I have a file on juicers, and I can shoot that out to you, or if you want to just talk for a few minutes, it doesn't take me long.
Okay.
And if I have time later today, I'll go over the juicers. There's basically centrifugal machines and masticating machines, and you want to get something good because you really get what you pay for.
Right.
If you get a machine that's going to yield 10% more juice, it pays for itself in no time at all.
Okay.
So thanks for calling, and look forward to talking to you later about this. And once again, the phone lines are lit up all the way. Yeah. So I'm having an exciting time over here.
All righty. Well, thanks.
Great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, Carol. You're on the air.
Hi. Good morning.
How's everything?
I'm just really fascinated with the discussion. I've always had a really strong interest in natural things and natural health. But, I've had a very hard time ever getting away from meat, having been born and raised a meat eater, and I would love to do that. Personally, I've had really good health, although I'm 64, and I've become a diabetic. I also have a good bit of pain in, a knee that has been giving me problems for a while.
Yes.
And I just feel like it's kind of an accumulation of things. I also have IBS, irritable bowel.
Yes,
to the point that, it's causing me a lot of, it causes me a lot of social problems. I feel like I don't want to go anywhere. And I would love a coach. So I've got your name and your number. Tell me a little bit about your background.
You bet. I started on this journey a little over 16 years ago when I was writing a book on weight loss. Basically, I got into this because I was playing competitive tennis, and I changed my diet for athletic reasons. And I ultimately found out why people can't lose fat. I perfected this very complicated mathematical procedure to monitor my caloric activity. My formal education is in the science of money. I used a scientific method of analyzing numbers to analyze calories. And this is what got me started. Like I said, almost 17 years ago. Since then, I've probably read about 1,000 books. Unfortunately, what I've learned, they don't teach in school. I've had to become self-taught. But I've also been lucky. I've coached thousands of people. I've been able to apply what I've learned. I've used myself as a guinea pig, and I've tested everything out. I've worked extremely hard. I probably spend 10, 12 hours every day in front of the computer trying to finish my book. I have about 2,000 files on my computer. I'm getting ready to write what I believe is the most comprehensive book ever made on this subject of how to get and stay healthy.
Okay.
So basically, I'm self-taught, and I've worked extremely hard. That's all I can say.
I'm really, really interested. And do you combine physical coaching? In other words, I would also like to develop into, if not a runner, maybe just a great walker. And I do walk, but the knee problem has really hampered that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why we definitely would want to start with you by cleaning out your system, get you off any diabetic medication, get you to drop some weight so that your knee won't be a problem. And every time I work with someone, we always look at the weakest link, so to speak. Our body's a lot like a chariot that's being pulled by 4 horses. If one horse is lame, the other 3 know it and they slow down. So your IBS is an important issue we'd want to focus on, as well as your pancreas and the toxicity of your body, so that you're now having trouble with your blood sugars. Anyway, that's how I would approach you. Is I would definitely start you on the most aggressive program that your body will allow you to go on. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from you and working with you. You're in for a treat. I can say that for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Good talking to you, Carol.
Bye-bye.
Okay, line 3, Sandy. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Oh, I'm doing fine. Is this a vegan show?
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know what show. I just tuned in late, but
I see.
I have a question about mercury levels in fish.
Yes, good question. Yeah,
because my son and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, they all love to go fishing. I won't fish. I don't like it. I watch the birds, and I tell them you can't eat anything you catch.
There you go. Well, fish contain 9 million times the concentration of toxins as the water they swim in. We know that the waters are polluted. They even tell pregnant women not to eat fish because of the mercury. So, I wouldn't touch fish for anything because of the water. That's a huge issue right there. So that's a good point. And, yes, you're absolutely right.
And this would also apply to the frozen-type commercial in the stores?
Well, yeah, even if you go to a factory farm, they're usually feeding these fish meal. So they even have a higher concentration of toxins because they're feeding the fish from the other fish that are out there in polluted water. Okay. So it's hard to get away from those toxins, and you're doing the right thing to avoid them.
I wanted to verify it, and I wanted to know your website. I've got the number 789-2223.
Yes.
But also, how do you spell Dr. Lorraine Day? The cancer doesn't scare me anymore.
Yes.
How do you spell Day?
D-A-Y, and her website is drday.com, drday.com, and my website is ultimateweightloss.com. With 3 W's in front of it, of course.
Right.
ultimateweightloss.com.
Okay.
And Dr. Day, she's got a dozen videos out. She's pretty much saying the same thing I am, except I push the juice fasting a little bit more because it's my specialty. I have fasted over 700 days to learn how to do this on 125 different occasions, and my longest was 90 days, so I've done a lot more than just read a lot of books. I've walked the talk, and I've had a chance to see it work with a lot of people.
Well, it's great work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Dion, I think we talked before.
Yeah, I got one last quick question.
You bet, buddy.
As we're doing the juice fast,
yes,
are we testing for the alkalinity or acidity of the juice before we drink it? Because you said that made a difference. If your body's already acidic, you don't want to be drinking any juices that might cause
a good point.
Higher acid content.
That's right. That's right. And fortunately, most fruits and vegetables are alkaline, but they got to be fresh and they got to be ripe. So if we're eating fruit that's not ripe, it's going to be acid forming. So that's a good question. I'm glad to see you're thinking over there.
All right, thanks.
You bet. Okay, next caller. We had number 5 already. Renee?
Hi.
Good morning, Renee.
I have a question. I know I'm up. I've listened to you before, and the doctors told me I have some type of fungal infection that breaks up little rashes on my body, on my arms and my legs, and my daughter has one on her shoulder. What would you recommend? I know we just need a cleaning, a good cleanse. So my daughter's 4.
Okay.
What type of, could she do the juice fast also?
Not really.
Okay.
Children are on a building program. You might do a day or so. I wouldn't want to risk too many days on that. Although, when you do a juice fast, we've got to consume an awful lot of vegetation. For adults, we need about a gallon of juice a day, and that's about 16 pounds of vegetables.
Right.
So what we're talking about here are the most nutrient-dense foods, but at the same time, I still would back off doing 100% juices for any child. That's just my own personal belief, and I'm not even convinced 100% that it couldn't be done, but I'd just be a little
leery about that.
A little leery, you bet. So, but we could still do a lot of leafy lean juices for.
Okay.
You could throw some garlic in there because it's antifungal. You might try to get some young coconuts. It also has antibacterial and antifungal properties.
Okay, now what do you mean by the young coconut? What do you do with that?
Young coconuts, well, we can use those to make smoothies with.
Okay.
And you can make green smoothies even, where you use 60% fruit and 40% veggies if you want to increase the nutrient density of those foods. But the young coconut's a lot different as it matures. A young coconut, the flesh inside the coconut's real soft and rubbery and it's sweet. Okay. The water is very tasty, and as the coconut matures, the water dries out, the flesh becomes very hard and thick and not near as tasty.
Okay.
So you can drain the water, put that into the blender, add the flesh of the food, add your the fruits that you like, throw a handful of parsley or some other leafy greens in there with it if you like. And again, that has antifungal properties. But you're on the right track. Got to cleanse the body. And you also have to be very careful with where fungus is at. A lot of our grains, most grains are stored for a very long period of time. And if they're stored for over 2 months, they start to get mold on them. Okay. So there's another source of mold. If you're going to go to grains, you're better off going to amaranth and quinoa and buckwheat. These are not stored for long periods of time, and actually, botanically speaking, they're actually considered fruits.
Okay.
And these are the grains that ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Mayas used to survive on. So if you're going to use those in your diet, that would be the better choice for sure.
Okay. Now, for me, would you recommend like a juice fast for me? I started a fast Sunday.
Oh, great.
So just mainly waters, and I know those are not the best because like the other caller, the time issue, but those Odwalla, what is your opinion about the Odwalla juices?
Great question. You bet. Odwalla, unfortunately, they flash pasteurize our juices, so we're not going to benefit from the enzymes that we need in fresh juices. You brought up a point that's so important because I coach a lot of people, and a lot of people will make the mistake of combining a water fast with a juice fast, and you cannot do that. They're two separate things, and you either do one or the other. On an exclusive water fast, after about 4 days of drinking nothing but water, your body kicks in what's known as autolysis, where the body goes through a self-digestive mode and cannibalizes things inside you that don't belong there. And if you're drinking juices or anything else with that, we don't kick in that autolysis. And likewise, if we're doing a juice fast and we don't drink the required a gallon or more of juices a day to get the necessary nutrients, especially carbohydrates, then we risk the chance of gluconeogenesis kicking in, and then we can lose some lean body mass.
Okay.
So real important to go one way or the other. Now, most of my students actually do a combination juice and lemonade fast, where they use the agave nectar, the lemon juice, the cayenne pepper, and water to help them supplement the juices while they're away from their machine. Unless you've got one of these really expensive juice extractors like the Green Star that can make juices that you can take with you, then you need to have something to take on the road, because you can't be tied down to a machine all day long. Right. Most people don't have that kind of flexibility or freedom.
Now, where would you get the agave nectar at?
Whole Foods has it. I know they have it. That would be one place to go. And it comes in two versions. There's Agave Nectar Light and Amber. The light version is still raw. It hasn't been heat processed. So, again, we want things that are living, not dead. Death begets death and life begets life. So we want to consume as much of our food in an unprocessed form as we can.
Okay, so if we're doing a juice fast, we don't need to intake water?
No, because you're getting the best water there is through the fruits and vegetables that are filtered through the stems and the leaves and all.
Okay. What's another question? I think that's it.
Good questions.
Okay.
Thanks for calling,
Renee. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, we're going to number 6, BJ. You here with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, BJ.
First of all, you are talking way too fast. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down.
I was just so excited.
Okay. Listen, you just said that Odwalla juices, they're pasteurized?
Yes.
So do they have any health benefits at all?
Yes, some, but when we cook our food, we have to realize we lose half the protein.
Okay.
We lose 30-40% of the minerals and vitamins.
What would you say? Something is better than nothing?
Yes.
I mean, there are those among us that are busy,
and
sometimes to drop by the store and get that Odwalla, opposed to having nothing.
I agree 1,000%. And the Odwalla, of course, is an obvious better solution than soda pops or anything else. So you of course, you bet you've answered your own question. It is a lot better.
Where are you located in Houston?
I'm over around the Woodlake area, over off of Fonder and Westheimer, Gessner area, close to the Beltway.
And I'm a small person, so why would I want to use an ultimate weight loss program?
Great question. Well, when I did my 90-day juice fast, I only had 5.8% body fat.
Okay.
I wouldn't call myself small because I was exercising 7-8 hours a day, 50 hours a week. I had a lot of muscle on me, too. But yet I had 20 pounds of garbage inside my pipes. So we can be small and still have our pipes plugged up. But no telling, I don't know you and I don't know what your diet is, so there's a good chance you might be squeaky clean inside. But the only way to tell for sure is to go on a juice fast, and that's why I like it so much, because you see the proof right before your eyes. If you keep going day after day only drinking pulp-free juice and you keep seeing stuff coming out of you, then you're not as clean as you thought.
Do you advocate being a vegetarian?
Actually, I advocate raw veganism.
Raw veganism? Is that what you are?
Yes, that's what I am. I have not had any cooked food in 10 years.
Okay. And also, how much exercise do you do?
Varies 2 to 4 hours a day.
2 to 4. Okay. Is this what you do all the time? Is this what pays your bills? I mean,
Yes, it is.
It's a passion, but is it?
It is a passion, and unfortunately, I do have to pay my bills. I'm a full-time wellness consultant. I've been doing this for over a decade. And I'm on a mission to stop the suffering on this planet, and I'm trying my hardest to get on Oprah. I've been on Deborah Duncan a bunch of times when she was on, and if I can just get on Oprah, boy, I know I can do a lot of good. So if anyone out there in the audience knows Oprah, tell her she needs to call me.
Oh, okay. And one last thing, when is your book coming out?
Good question. I have no idea. I keep getting sidetracked. I'm getting closer and closer. I've got, like I said, about 2,000 files on my computer, and a good percentage of those are actually completed chapters to a book. If I wanted to, I could probably have 5 books finished tomorrow. But I don't have what I call the ultimate book, where I have it all together. The last year or so, I've really been focusing on addictions and how it plays into the equation, because I found cooked food is extremely addictive. It took me 5 years to quit eating cooked food. I've been doing this over 15 years.
Do you have children or family that you've had to work with?
Not my own, no, but most of my students, as you can imagine, do, and I do work with families all the time. So we want to get the children as soon as possible to get them to develop good habits, and next thing you know, they'll love to eat vegetables.
And they do what their parents do, is that correct?
You got it, boy. Thank you.
Okay, one other thing. Just remember to talk slowly.
Thank you for the reminder.
Slowly.
I'll try.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Peter, good morning.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hey, I'm looking at your website. It's very fascinating. You're obviously also a Dr. Bernard Jensen fan, or you're not?
You can tell, can't you? You betcha.
I have 2 quick questions for you. One of them concerns me exceedingly because I personally suffer from eczema, specifically discoid eczema. And the Garden of Life program, the Primal Defense, well, I went on that religiously for 90 days. And, boy, my thanks for that was my eczema got like 1,000,000 times worse.
Oh, my gosh. My gosh.
So, what the heck did I do wrong? And your comment specifically on Primal Defense and, what can one do? And I'll hold on because...
Okay, good. You might have another question.
The stream on the internet where I'm listening is very irreliable. So
okay, very good. Yeah, I think Primal Defense is a good product, but I don't like to do that until I first cleanse everything out. You see, when you do what it takes to clean out your colon, as I mentioned earlier, every other cell in your body is going to clean itself out. And the reason why people have conditions like eczema and psoriasis, and I work with a lot of people who have these conditions, basically the body is using the skin as an alternative channel of elimination, which means the colon's just not working as good as it should. So the best thing to do is to give the colon a vacation. Let's not make it come to work today, and if we don't make it work today, it goes back and cleans house in the past. So that's why I know I sound like a broken record where I keep telling people juice fast, juice fast, juice fast. That's the best place to start. Primal Defense is where I bring that in at the end. It's one of the options you can use to reestablish the friendly bacteria in your system.
Yeah, the microflora, right?
Yeah, the microflora, exactly. But it's not where I would begin. I always like to begin by cleaning the system out first. And I'm working with a person right now that is going through with the eczema, and some days it gets real good and some days it gets bad, and that's kind of how our body heals itself. It's sometimes, many times what we have to do, especially if we have a chronic condition, is we got to go in reverse. We call that retracing, where we go back into a stage of an acute condition, because acute conditions are basically crises of toxemia, where the body is trying to get rid of something. Again, disease is a bodily process.
Right. So someone like me who did that detox, so faithfully and what's the word I'm looking for? Intensively with Primal Defense. And I mean, a lot of muck was eliminated, trust me.
Great.
From the colon. Do I still need to do a colon irrigation?
Well, maybe. Most of my students don't usually do that in conjunction. Although so many people see benefits from it, I can't give a blanket recommendation saying you will benefit or not. And the way I look at a juice fast is I kind of look at it as a reverse colonic. And what we're doing is like cleaning the radiator out in a car. Is we're just going to run like 100 gallons of juice through the system, and it cleans out the pipes. The only problem is we can't do all that in one day. It takes like a gallon a day to do it. When I did my longest fast of 90 days, it was the most exciting 90 days of my life. The more that stuff came out of me, the better and better it got to a point where I actually crawled out of a rut I didn't even know I was in. And I thought I couldn't get much better. I thought, I was in such good shape physically. Little did I know.
Yeah, basically, Gracie, one last question.
Okay.
Please. Are there any topical creams that you know of, or anything that one can do to relieve the incredible skin itch problem, etc., and wounding?
Not really, although I know that apple cider vinegar is supposed to be real good for conditions like herpes or shingles. But I don't know if that's... but I've never tried it with anyone with eczema. You might try that. Otherwise, I don't have any good advice for you on that. I'm sorry.
Good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your taking the time. It's a great show. I learned a lot, to say the least.
Thank you kindly, Peter.
Okay.
Enjoy talking with you, sir. Bye-bye. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, John. Thank you so much for doing this show on women's health. And I wanted to bring up the epidemic of breast cancer and find out what your thoughts are about the relationship to a high-fat animal protein diet or women who are following the Atkins diet.
Oh, good questions, yeah. Well, T. Colin Campbell was in town recently, as you well know. You interviewed him recently also. And that's what he's coming out in his book saying, that we found what he believes to be a huge factor in breast cancer. There's an animal protein known as casein that they know is causing breast cancer. I don't believe it's the only cause for breast cancer. I think something as simple as underarm deodorant can lead to breast cancer.
Wearing tight bras.
Wearing tight bras, yeah. Good, another good point. But yeah, it's, that's the greatest thing about T. Colin Campbell's work is it's the most extensive study ever done on nutrition, and he has proven scientifically that there is a direct correlation between the animal protein consumption and all of our diseases of civilization, like the heart disease and the cancer and the diabetes and arthritis and all these diseases of civilization. He says it was directly proportional, that if you go from 10% animal protein to 20%, you double your chance. From 10% to 30%, you triple your chance of coming down with these killer diseases.
Well, and it was interesting, too, that he says that in China that women start their periods like at average age 17, and their whole reproductive cycle is so much shorter than Western women, and that also accounts for the hormone, the estrogen, being in their bodies as long.
Exactly, and he also says that we enter menopause later. So the combination of entering puberty too early and menopause too late is a huge factor in that. And that's a good reflection that we're getting sicker as a society. I remember T.C. Fry, he said that the sicker a plant is, the quicker it goes to seed. And look what's happening to our young children in our society. Of course, there's a lot of other factors that can contribute to puberty. All the petrochemical products, the xenoestrogens, they're feeding the cows grains that are laden with pesticides. A lot of the black girls enter puberty before the white girls because of the hair products. Again, the xenoestrogens that are inside the hair products. But yeah, that's a huge contributing factor.
It's so sad. I mean, I just found out last night that Susie Paul died. People in Houston will probably remember she was just a great young spirited photographer. I've known her for years, and I was so hurt to, hear that she had died. And this morning I was talking to my neighbor. We were putting out the trash, and her mom died on Sunday of breast cancer. And she said she thought it was because her mother had her at age 40. And but do you think that had something to do with a late pregnancy? Would that have anything to do with it, or is it basically back to the diet? And
that's a good question.
And what do you say to women who say, well, it runs in my family? What does that mean? Is it really hereditary, or is it just diet?
Another good question.
Or mainly?
Well, when it comes to genetics, what happens is we do inherit genetic weaknesses. But genetics only determine how we get sick, not if we get sick. The diet is the deciding factor. So, sure, you may have inherited a tendency to have breast cancer, but if you don't live... But what we really inherit is the lifestyle and the diet. If you change your diet and don't eat the same diet as your parents did, then you won't come down with the same conditions that they did. So I think that's the biggest factor, is the diet.
Were you surprised? I know I saw you at Friday night at the lecture at Unity Church that Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was one of the quantum physicists, or actually he's a chiropractor, but he was interviewed in the film What's the Bleep? And were you surprised how he downplays nutrition and just says that it's basically your mind, that you can actually eat, a healthy diet, but if your mind...
I was appalled. I really liked a lot of what he had to say, and he didn't really say much I hadn't already studied before in the field of quantum physics. But I'm a firm believer. It's one of the many things I teach people. I don't teach people just to eat the right foods nutritionally for their body, but also the right thoughts, because thoughts are real.
Exactly.
But he made it look like as if you could... eat anything you want, and as long as you have the right thoughts, that you could overcome it, and we know that's not working.
I thought that really was misleading. I felt like I agreed with 95% of what he said, but when he went to the nutrition, that was just so off.
Yeah,
that I really didn't.
Well, a great example was David, who came up there and shared his experience, how he was battling anger all of his life, and how he had acid reflux for 12 years. And he studied under Thich Nhat Hanh for 8 months, and he was doing all these things that Joseph Dispenza is recommending. It didn't help him. But yet, when he changed his diet to a live vegan diet, within 3 weeks, his anger disappeared, his acid reflux disappeared. All those symptoms disappeared, and it wasn't like he didn't want to try. He was trying very hard to do the things Dispenza said. So, yeah, I was very disappointed.
And can I just mention to the listeners that there are 2 raw foods potlucks that happen twice a month at the Taft Street Cafe.
Yes.
It's the second Wednesday and the fourth Thursday of each month, and the Taft Street Cafe is where the Central City Co-op meets. It's 2115 Taft, and they're just absolutely wonderful. And this is a wonderful way to get introduced to raw vegan food, and I highly recommend it. And also, we do vegan outreach classes every Saturday at Casa Azul from 11 to 2, and maybe you'll mention that you're going to be speaking this Saturday.
I'm so glad you called, because I had a feeling you might, and yes, I am teaching a seminar this weekend, so you guys can come on out. You can give Janice a call, give me a call, find out more information about that.
Yeah, is it okay to give a phone number?
Sure, yes.
713-522-6899, or I guess, John, they could call you, but I just am so happy you're sharing your knowledge with everybody, and because we really are in this together, I feel, with all the addictions in our society. So thank you so much for doing the show. I'm so happy that Hitachi asked you to do it for these 2 weeks.
Well, thank you, Janice.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Listen, I just broke my juicer out of mothballs after a couple of years, and I did like a 6 or 7 day fast, and there were some really remarkable results. I had a good weight loss, and I felt very energized. I guess my question is in a couple parts. Number one is obvious the time constraints that it takes to juice that amount.
Yes.
I've heard conflicting reports. It's okay to store it. It's not okay to store it. And I guess I'm confused about that. I really would like to juice enough for like a day or two or 3. And I just wonder if you can comment on that one.
Yeah, great question, David. Yeah, most juicers, if you have a centrifugal machine that spins very, very fast, like at 10,000 RPMs, it oxidizes the juice so badly that you can let that glass of juice set and you can notice it separate within a short period of time. So those kind of juicers will not make a quality juice good enough that will last. But they've got machines now like the Green Star that's a masticating machine. It spins about 100 RPM and it makes a really good quality juice that will last almost 2 days. And the trick is, though, you got to put it in an airtight container. So you get these little 16-ounce mason jars and overfill it so you have a little bit of a spillage. So when you put the lid on, you get all the air out.
Right.
And then, of course, you keep it cold and in a dark area.
Right. That much I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you should be able to last for maybe a day, because you bring up a good point. It's very time-consuming to do this. The other option to work around this is to maybe alternate juices with the lemonade drink, where you use the lemon juice and agave nectar and cayenne pepper and water. That's a lot easier to prepare. It's not near as nutritious. I'd rather see all of my students do all juices, all vegetable juices, but the fruit juices taste better. The agave nectar lemonade drink is quicker to make and sometimes more practical. So we do have to be practical.
Yeah, I've tried that before, and I find that the regular juice fast with veggie juices, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
I don't get hungry, but with the others, the water and stuff like that, the cravings are just kind of unbearable, and I feel like I have to snack somewhere. One more part to this question is there anything that's indicated for juicing in terms of helping a chronic demyelinating polyneuropathy? Do you have any information on that?
Well, for years they said that nerve damage could not be repaired. Now they're saying it can, but it just takes a longer time.
Right.
Yeah, I believe in miracles. I really do. I believe in using every technique at my disposal. When I'm coaching people, I teach them how to use deep diaphragmatic breathing to get their lymph system moving. I also help them use mental imagery. Everywhere thought goes, so does a chemical. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do that we just don't even know. And I think believing in it is a big part of it.
Yeah, well, I certainly believe in it, because I'd say it's been up and down. I've had prednisone treatments, and I've done the human immunoglobulin thing, and that did a lot of help. And I did notice a lot of things that were alleviated on this simple 6 or 7 day juice fast. So.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I get so excited every time I talk about this, because I've done it so many times, and I've seen what people go through, and I know the kind of conversations I have with people. And you're a perfect example of just amazing things can happen in a short period of time.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks very much. Can you mention your website once again so I can write that down?
You bet, David.
Okay,
it's ultimateweightloss.com. www.ultimateweightloss.com.
Okay, thank you, John.
You bet, David. Thank you. Going to line for Paul.
Yes, sir. Good day.
Good day to you, sir.
I noticed you were advising listeners to use young coconuts.
Yes, sir.
And I myself, I am a big fan of coconut in all forms. The oil, regular coconut oil, unprocessed, of course, or even red palm oil is very highly medicinal. However, the young coconuts which they import into the country, they fumigate those with formaldehyde.
Yes, I'm very aware of that.
You might want to refrain from...
Yeah, that is, but from what I understand, that you should be able to smell that. Formaldehyde, from what I understand, has a very strong odor, and you should be able to smell it. The thing is, they only dip those in there; they don't soak them. So my contention is if they only dip it for a matter of seconds, does it actually get through to it? I don't have a good answer to that, and it is something to be concerned about. You bring up a really good point, Paul. I appreciate that.
And also, I'd like to. A lot of people have been talking about like opportunistic skin diseases, yeast infections, and whatnot. And I'm also a nutritionist.
Okay.
I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm still learning every day. Needless to say,
it's a lot out there, isn't it?
However, one of my main pillar of my treatment is fermentation.
Yes, I've heard you talk before, and you've called in before on my shows. You're right. Yeah, if you're going to go, I agree with your view on the soy products, and if you're going to go that way, the only way to go is fermentation.
Yeah, for example, like even before you get to the estrogen part of the soybean, just the complex proteins.
Yes.
They're largely indigestible without fermentation.
Right.
The fermentation breaks them down into readily digestible amino acids, and which is why the Asians use miso, tempeh, tamari, and so on.
You bet.
And also, for people worrying about heavy metal poisoning, like maybe mercury fillings or even just environmental, miso has proven to be highly effective. And there's stuff that people can do just around their house, like use a whole grain and make like a fermented liquid out of it that they could drink, and that clears up all your candida and everything. Now, I noticed you did a little grain bashing, which is not totally out of order, because, I mean, agriculture is linked to warfare, slavery, and, you know, grains, as you said, aren't really meant to be eaten by humans, with a couple of exceptions.
Right.
Fermentation and sprouting.
Yes.
Now, for example, all grains have phytic acid, which blocks absorption of zinc, calcium, iron, magnesium, you name it, and this will lead to mineral deficiencies.
Right.
However, when you ferment the grains by soaking them before cooking, this neutralizes the phytic acid. And you'll also find that nitrites, prussic acid, oxalic acid, you name it, nitrosamines, glucosides, and other potentially toxic ingredients found in grains are neutralized and even eliminated by fermentation.
Great points, Paul.
So, this is a traditional method that people have been eating grains, but in the fast-paced processed world, that's why we changed. But anyway, I know we don't have time to even really brush the scope of this, so I'll get off the air, and people can do their own research in their own time.
Very good, Paul. I want to thank you again for calling in. You've called in before, and you always have some good input to add, so I'd like to thank you.
Well, thank you for the program.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Paula, are you there with us? Good morning. Paula, did you walk away from your phone?
Hello.
There she is.
Hi, yes, thank you.
Hi.
Well, first let me say I don't think you talk too fast at all. You obviously have a lot of information that we're going to need to get before the end of the program. Okay. So talk fast.
All right.
But my concern with juicing is that I wouldn't be getting all the amino acids and proteins that I thought you had to have meat or other proteins that fruit and vegetables would not give me all that.
Good point. That's not true. Your green leafy vegetables have all your essential amino acids. Even most of your fruits have all the amino acids. If you ate nothing but bananas all day long, of course you can't juice them, there's not enough water in them, but if you ate bananas all day long, you would get every amino acid you need. Even though it's only 5% protein, it's the same percentage as mother's milk. So actually a lot of fruits are complete proteins. All your leafy greens are, and they're very high in protein. You look at spinach, you're at 49% protein. Look at where all the biggest animals on the planet, the elephants, the rhinoceros, the hippopotamuses, the giraffes, the bulls, the gorillas, look where they're getting their protein. They're going to the first source, and that's the sunlight energy that's in the greens.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a lot of confusion. I'd say there's more confusion in the field in nutrition and specifically protein than there is among any other subject.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought it up because it's on everyone's mind. They think, well, where do we get our protein? We've been led to believe that we have to eat an animal to get the protein.
Exactly.
And I haven't had any animals in me in over 19 years. And it's not slowing me down any.
Excellent. Well, and if you wouldn't mind, if I could ask you if you could say something about soybeans. You see so much about the benefit of soybean, especially for women with estrogen problems, and it's supposed to be so healthy for you, and all the soy products, tofu and canola. But I've also read many places that it's actually extremely damaging to the system, and it should be avoided.
I've read the same thing. I've read at least 20 articles on this subject. They say soy is an endocrine disruptor. The caller just before, Paul, mentioned that when you ferment the soy, it's a different story. So that would be okay. But yeah, otherwise, there's a lot of hype that's surrounding soy, and they, it's the soy industry came up with a great idea. They want to make more money, and they figured, well, if we can sell the soy to the people instead of the cows, we can really charge them a lot more. And that's kind of what they did, is they really got together and figured out a way to market this to us. Of all the plant foods, soy is the most mucus forming of them all. Although I can sympathize with Janice, I'd rather see people eating soy than I would having them eating a cow, because that way a cow has to suffer. Personally, I'd like to see them not eat either one of them, and choose more nutrient-dense foods. And the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet are your leafy greens. So that's that's really what we should be loading up on.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying your program.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Good talking to you. Bye-bye. Good morning, Renee. How you doing?
Hi.
I'm calling you back. I talked to a friend of mine after I spoke with you,
yes.
and she just wanted me to ask some questions. She has fibroids.
Yes.
And got a heavy bleeding, clotting, and she's experiencing some pain. Is there anything she can do for that?
You bet. Now, fibroids, we have to understand, is because they are not as dangerous as other tumors, the body will take 10 to 20 times longer to dissolve these. But the body can do that, provided you clean up your act and you start eating better. So yeah, you have to understand, tumors are basically the body's way of trapping waste matter so that it doesn't get out there and do damage elsewhere. And the body has a system that can digest these. But if we keep making it work all day long with all this other garbage you're putting in it every day, it can't go back and do that work. So we've got to learn to be nicer to our bodies, eat food that's easier to digest. Basically, one way I explain things is we don't want to expend so much energy converting what we eat into liquid. So when we go on a juice fast, we're not expending any energy at all, and that's why that energy can get redirected. As one of the other callers mentioned earlier, if you eat nothing but fruit, the same thing happens. Your body doesn't take much energy to convert watermelon or grapes into water. So again, you free up energy, and the body can take care of things like fibroids. So that's not a problem.
Well, even if they're large, I mean, her doctor says that the only thing she can do to eliminate it is have a hysterectomy.
Oh, that's the most abused operation on this planet. I obviously can't tell her to do it or not to do it. I don't know how big the fibroid is.
I think she said, one is 5 centimeters, and she also has an enlarged uterus.
Okay. All I can say is I know what I would do if I was in her situation. I wouldn't think twice about trying to juice fast out and see what happens.
Okay, and how long do you think? I mean, what?
No way of knowing.
Okay,
no way of knowing. That's why I always tell people, take it one day at a time and just see how it goes. And remember, it takes longer to digest these things, but it can be done. The body's self-healing. That's what they don't teach doctors. That's why I like Dr. Lorraine Day. She said, I am a physician, and I did not learn one thing in medical school about the true healing of the body. No doctor does. That's not what we're taught. We're taught how to diagnose the symptoms and then treat the symptoms.
Right, and I've seen her video.
Exactly. Yes.
Some good points.
Yes, she makes some great points. So that's what we need to understand. The body can heal itself. We just got to get out of its way and let it do what it needs to do.
And you're located here in Houston?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, I have your number. That's at 789-2223.
That's correct, Renee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, back up to the top. We're talking with Brian. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Hold on, let me turn my radio down.
Thank you.
I caught a little part about somebody asking about, a gentleman asking about eczema.
Yes, sir.
And my significant other, she has psoriasis.
Yes.
And I was wondering, I didn't quite catch what you said because I had to get out of the car and everything. But how would you treat that? And then I have a couple other questions I'd like to ask, too.
You bet. Reminds me of one of my students I worked with about 10 years ago. He had really bad psoriasis, and we put him on a juice fast, and within 10 days, over 60% of it had completely cleared up. And then he turned 60 years old, and he went out and celebrated his birthday by going out and eating just a regular old meal, some chicken or something. Next day, all of the psoriasis came back. And I told him, boy, that's the best lesson you could have learned. Now you understand where you're getting it. And we were doing what it took to get rid of it. So, I'm convinced that a juice fast is the fastest way to let the body heal itself. Every animal in nature knows what to do when it gets sick. It stops eating. It stops wasting energy, converting solid food to liquid. But unfortunately, most people nowadays are too toxic and too deficient to do a water fast without it being problematic. So the juice fast is the best solution because we're also providing a lot of alkaline minerals to help the cleansing. Also very important antioxidants like glutathione to help the liver neutralize and eliminate toxins. So that would be the first step to answer the first part of the question. You had another one?
Okay, yeah. She also, she's 50.
Yes.
Just turned 50.
Yes.
But she's been going through, I guess, menopause. And I mean, we've been going together for quite a while, and hot flashes. We're talking about she's been having hot flashes for years. Okay.
Yeah, I am so glad you brought this up because this was one of the issues I thought for sure I'd have a chance to talk with. I would strongly recommend her reading a book by Dr. John Lee about what your doctor does not tell you about menopause. The problem with women in menopause in this country, there's several problems, but the main one has to do with estrogen dominance. And the hormone replacement therapy they're giving the women is using a synthetic form of progesterone, and that doesn't work. She needs to get natural progesterone. You can get a cream called Progestacare, and that will give her the natural progesterone she needs, and that will probably take care of her hot flashes. But she also has to be aware of all the xenoestrogens that are out there everywhere in the form of chemical products that have been turned into pesticides and whatever. Even cheap plastic, when we drink bottled water, these xenoestrogens mimic our natural hormones, and they go in and they occupy the receptor sites, and they don't allow her natural hormones to do what they need to do.
Okay, what was the name of the book?
It's What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause.
Okay.
Or, let me double check that. Is it may not? What your doctor, may not tell you about menopause. Dr. John R. Lee. And I took some excellent notes on this, and I'm a very slow typer, and this wasn't online anywhere, so I had to hunt and peck and type some notes on this. So if you give me a call, I'll flash you out my notes on this.
Okay.
Very good notes.
Two really quick questions.
Okay.
And one is, I hate vegetables. I hate the way they taste.
Okay.
What can you do? But I like most fruits. Bananas I like, apples I like, most of the strawberries. What can I do to
I've got a solution for you.
Okay.
It's called green smoothies. What you do is you make a smoothie using fruit and vegetables in a ratio of 60 fruit to 40 vegetables. You can throw like 4 pears and a handful of parsley, for example, into a blender, add some young coconut water or just some juice or some water, sweeten it up. That's one way to get those greens in there. Okay. Otherwise, you can juice them and add some apples to sweeten it up. Things like that will help. Or if you want a salad, what I use for a salad dressing is I use tahini, which is a sesame seed butter, and I use that as a topping on my salad, and I feel like I'm eating a big old peanut butter sandwich, and I'm eating my 3-pound salad at night. I love it.
Is this all covered either at your website?
No, I don't go into any details on my website. My website is basically geared for people who don't know anything about this, so I kind of soft sell what I'm talking about. All I do is talk about benefits, because I know with a strong enough why we can accomplish any how, and what we're talking about doing here is making some major changes, so I don't want to overwhelm people in the beginning.
Okay. One last thing. I realize this was a moment show, and you may want to address this next week, but as I was getting in the car, coming in, just as I was leaving the house, I saw one of those commercials for Enzyme, and made me start thinking of Viagra and all those other things. And is there something that will address, sexual dysfunction for men and women, and especially for men, for next week's show?
I will. I'm so glad you said that, Brian.
I think that, if I may not be able to call in, I'd like to hear you say something about that if I could hear.
I will. I'll make a note of that, and we're running almost out of time. We only got a couple minutes, so I really appreciate you mentioning that. So I'll cover that next show, and even though next show is going to be for the men, we're going to still be talking about some female issues also.
Okay, well, thank you for your help, and I enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you much. Now, we still got every line lit up still. The lines have been lit up almost.
I'll get off. Take care.
Okay. All the lines have been lit up ever since I've been on. We've got like 5 callers. I'll try to get we don't have time for everybody, so my number is 713-789-2223. If you didn't get a chance to talk to me, give me a call. In the meantime, let's see. I'll talk to as many as I can. Kathy.
Hi.
Real quick.
Just quick question. You've been doing a lot of talking about eczema.
Yes.
Now, I have a 2.5-year-old that has eczema, allergies, and asthma. What kind of thing can I do with him? I mean, the thought of putting him on only juice is frightening to me, but can you address that? 2.5-year-old?
Give me a call. I just got through doing something on this, and we'll talk. Let me try to get the next caller. Give me a call at 713-789-2223.
Thank you.
Thank you. Johnny, real quick, we've only got a few minutes.
I have an ingredient collection, what I call ingredient panel collection, for the past, 10, 15, 20 years, from different products, whether it be milk containers, processed food containers, and such like that. Do you have a resource at your website, or can you direct me, if I was to email you, where I could go to find out details about the various food additive chemicals, especially